of mother and so we did see in the last chapter, like last section, that how devotion is very simple, because Krishna compared devotional service. Uh, in one sense, he also listed the various ways that people approach him, and he does actually prefer when people approach him through pure devotional service. And we saw the verse 26th verse, which said patram pushpam phalam toyam, be it a leaf or a flower or water or anything which is offered with devotion, I accept. So he is looking for devotion, and he said not just the direct offerings that we give for Krishna, because that only we could do for a while in a day. Like how much time we could be making an offering for Krishna. It's not the most of our day. So then what happens to the rest of the day? So that's what Krishna is saying. Whatever you do, whatever you give away, whatever you eat, whatever austerities you do it all as an offering to me. And the reason is that when we do all those things to as an offering, so Krishna says, you will be able to come to me. So he's very eager to have us back in the spiritual world, and he's very eager to have us reciprocate with him through devotion, with an intent of wanting to have a connection with him. So what's big deal? Like, why is he specifying about this particular relationship of devotion so much? What is very special about it? So that's what Krishna is going to speak here. So that how dear is devotion to him, and how it is not just that he is desperate; he is also desperate for us. Actually, he is the supreme Lord. There is nothing which is affecting him on a certain way, certain sense. However, he is more desperate for us to experience that special connection with him. And in the 29th verse, Krishna says, I envy no one. I'm not partial to anyone, and I'm equal to all. But whoever renders the service, that whoever is my devotee, he is a friend, he is in me, and I'm also his friend. So he's like very, he's speaking in very, what do you call, cheesy terms, no? Like, like he is a friend to me, and then I, okay, there are two people waiting in the, yeah. So he's like, there he's that devotee is a friend to me and I'm a friend to him, he is in me. So it's like kind of very he's giving very special thing. So we discussed this part last week, that how it is not that Krishna is taking sides. We may think, oh, if everybody is equal, then why is Krishna on the side of Arjuna? So if we go back and look at the Mahabharata, in the battle of Kurukshetra, in the battle of Kurukshetra, it is not that Krishna took the side of Arjuna. Rather, it would be more perfect to say that Arjuna took Krishna's side. Even Duryodhana also had this opportunity to choose Krishna, but he chose something else. He chose Krishna's army, but Arjuna took the side of Krishna. So it is we who have to choose Krishna. In a relationship, the other person can always be available, but unless uh, the other one person can be available, but the other person, if that person is not available, then the relationship cannot be built. So both needs to be open to the relationship. So here Krishna is saying, I'm always open to this relationship of devotion. So it is who have to choose devotion as a choice, our choice. So now, just to hear some voices in the room, so read these what do you call, like, verses, and come up with some questions that comes to your mind, or like kind of exceptions that comes, basically questions or thought that comes to your mind based on reading these two translations on the screen. So I can read. I hope you can see my screen also. If you're not on the screen, if you're just hearing, so even if one commits the most abominable action, if he is engaged in devotional service, he is to be considered saintly because he is properly situated in his determination. So he quickly becomes righteous and attains lasting peace, O son of Kunti. Declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. So these are the translations to the verses 9.30 and 31. I know we did touch upon this last time, but we didn't have much time, so we were rushing. So now you have more time. So please think of any questions or thought that comes to your mind, exceptions that comes to your mind. Yes, Purva?
Prabhuji, my question is partially related to this 9.30. The devotional service is supposed to be done in love. I understand that, but in English we have two phrases. We have like God fearing and God loving. So especially for a neophyte devotee, when we read all these horrible things that happen to people when they are not on the right path in the Gita or in other scriptures, we are more likely to fear the like Krishna or just other things. So how can we transform this fear into love, into like devotion? At least for me, the devotional service that I offer is more out of fear than out of love. So I would just like to know how we can do that.
So Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that, as you're saying, like that by your kind of introspection, you feel like that your devotional service is coming from a place of fear. And yeah, all of us do have different levels of motivations. So Krishna says in the Gita, there are 3 levels of motivation. Sorry, 4 levels of motivations. Any guesses what are the 4 levels? For
The
any
one
activity.
where it was in distress, and was it that purport, that part?
Like there are 4 people that come to him for those 4 reasons, but in general I am saying for doing any activity there can be 4 levels of motivation that Krishna offers in the 2nd chapter. One is fear, the other is desire to have something gain or from what we are doing, and the third one is actually duty. We do it because it is our duty, and the 4th level is actually love. So when we come to devotional service, it could be any of these levels. But the more we engage in sadhana, the more we associate with people who have higher levels of motivations. So then gradually we also transform our heart through the process, and through the inspiration of association, our motivation will change. So whatever may be the motivation, it is better to come to Krishna. So that is why Krishna calls them Udara Sarvayevaite, because he says all these people who come to me, they may be coming due to distress or due to desire, due to inquisitiveness or want of knowledge. But he says Udara Sarvayevaite, all of them are Udara, means they are very broad-minded people. Udara is one sense also is very charitable. So here these people are coming to Krishna, but he is calling them charitable. Like if someone comes to asking me for things, I won't call them charitable. I would call myself charitable because they are coming to me for things. But here Krishna is so magnanimous. He is saying those who are coming to him, he is calling them as magnanimous and he is calling them as very charitable. So there is, even if you consider, it may not be just fear, it may not be 100% desire, it may not be 100% duty, it may not be 100% love in the beginning stages. It would be a combination. So even if it is out of fear, there is no problem, because the nature of devotion is it will actually, by practicing bhakti, we will gradually refine our motivation. So proper sadhana and good association will transform our motivation. So it's not a problem.
Okay, thank you.
So any other questions that comes to your mind by any of your minds, any thoughts by reading these translations? Yeah, Madhavendra?
So I don't quite understand where it says, even if one commits the most abominable action, and then it says if he's engaged in devotional service. So creating that action while in devotional service because of something you believe in, but you're doing it for Krishna.
So
it's okay.
If I understand your question, you're saying if this person is engaged in devotional service, is he assuming that he is as part of his devotion he does some kind of a mistake or something like that?
Okay, let's say I know someone's hurting somebody, but it's still wrong to go to hurt that person that's hurting someone else. But I do it I do it because, I know it's Krishna's devotee. I know that this person will suffer if I don't do this action. So I'm doing it not for myself to make this, to feel comfortable that I protected someone. But I know that, I'm doing an action in his service for him to protect the other individual. But I'm going to go to jail because of that. Which doesn't matter either way, but that's the way I see it at that time. So am I considered saintly at that point? Because is that devotional service if I'm in that frame of mind when that happens.
Like, to be very honest, I didn't fully get the scenario, because it sounds very generic to me. Intentions, that's what again Krishna is also addressing here. One is the external. What Krishna is addressing here is, it could be any situation where externally the action is unacceptable. Like, even if you consider here, Arjuna is going to kill people on the battlefield. It's a very abominable action. But at least he is doing it as part of his duty as a soldier, and Krishna is also giving him. So we are not speaking about this. What Krishna exactly is speaking about is, because of lack of proper sense control and mind control, sometimes a practicing devotee may be engaged in very abominable actions, maybe some kind of a sexual misconduct, or like a financial fraud or something like that. What you can see morally an unacceptable thing a person does. It's not with even a good intention or anything like that, just because of weakness. Just because of spiritual weakness, if a person ends up doing something which is morally unacceptable. So here this is Krishna's perspective. From his perspective, Krishna is saying, even if my devotee engages in an immoral action, but if he is committed to, because we are all like split personalities when we are actually practicing devotees. At one moment we have such devotion, we have tears in our eyes, we sing Aarti, and then we stand before the deities, offer flowers, and then if Kartik comes, we have such special prayers we offer. And we become like split personality when we became overcome by any kind of desire or anger or pride. So then we become like a different person. Immediately we switch. It is not that this personality is false and the devotion personality is true, or the devotion personality is false and this is the real personality. They both are somehow coexisting, because we are still like working on our heart. So there are moments we are a devotee, there are moments we are not so ungodly. So both are true. We do have both of these aspects. So what Krishna is saying is, yes, maybe due to some weakness of spiritual weakness, my devotee may do something which is morally degraded. But if he is committed to engaging in devotional service, so he should be considered. Krishna considers him saintly, because as far as his devotional determination is considered, he is committed to Krishna. And he's saying, because of that engagement in devotional service, he will become righteous. Because he is taking the treatment, he will get better in the future. Sorry, bro.
That's perfect, because it's like in my spiritual week, I'm working on my spiritual weakness, but I'm okay because it's still, this is really nice to hear. I fully understand it. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Swarit Prabhu. Hi, Swarit.
Hi. So, Prabhuji, in this verse, it's saying even if one commits the most abominable action, if he is engaged in devotional service, he is to be considered saintly. And then later on, it says he quickly becomes righteous and attains a lasting peace. So, if we don't really know who the person is, right? So, we don't know if they'll change that quickly. So, how do we know that the person, if engaged in devotional service, will become righteous and attains the peace that they want, even after committing so many crimes?
Okay. Where is the guarantee you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's so interesting that you're asking that, because that really brings out the essence of the verse. So thank you, Swarit, for that. And before answering you, I see a comment by Ritesh Prabhu. Is Ajamil a good example for these verses? Yes, I would say so. He is one of the perfect examples we could see. So he did actually mess up a lot in his life. However, because he was committed to devotion service, he became eventually a pure personality. So in that sense, Ajamil is a good example from the Bhagavatam, if you know who is Ajamil. Otherwise, we would discuss later. And to answering Swarit's question, where is the guarantee that this person would become righteous? What Krishna is saying here is, if that devotee is committed to practicing his Krishna consciousness, Krishna is saying he is the guarantee. He is saying, "Oh, son of Kunti, declare it boldly that my devotee will never perish." He is saying, Krishna is giving guarantee. As long as this particular individual keeps up their connection with Krishna and continues to engage in devotional service without becoming discouraged. Oh, today I just became like spiritually weak and I did something which is unbecoming of my values, which goes against my spiritual values. Okay, again, pull oneself back and go again on the path of bhakti, whatever is right. We cannot say I have to be 100% perfect or I won't practice bhakti. I'm either a great devotee or I'm like a completely like a non-devotee. No, it's not like that. We all have shades. I know when I came to the New York City, newly everywhere there used to be a poster. So like that, there is a shades of our personality. So we have a lot of shades in our heart. So it's not very exclusive. Either we are a devotee or like we are like a demon. No, not like that. So Krishna is giving us that space. He is understanding that there are so many shades of gray in our hearts. So gradually, that he wants us to become better. So what is the most important thing that Krishna is mentioning here is determination. The word determination is the most important word here. As long as he is properly situated in his determination of devotion, one is situated, then Krishna is saying, I am the guarantee. Declare it boldly, Arjuna, that I am the guarantee. That person will will never perish. Makes sense, Swarit? The guarantee is Krishna's guarantee.
One more thing, Prabhuji. What is the guarantee that the person will change from their original self to their new personality?
Okay. So the process of bhakti is about consciousness. When we consider a person, why we are acting in a certain way is our consciousness is in a certain way. So the soul has the consciousness. So when the consciousness changes, you see a change in the person. Say if you had met me before like 20 years, I was a completely different person. So what has changed in me in these years is through the practice of bhakti, my consciousness has changed. So what I like and what are my values have changed drastically. Growing up, I liked eating certain things, and I don't think today I like those same things the same way, because my values have changed, my consciousness has changed, because I have become a completely different person. Otherwise, if you see physically, it's not so much of a change. So that consciousness change happens through the process of connecting with Krishna. When the soul connects with Krishna through devotion service, then that's why Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Cheto Darpanam Arjunam Bhava Mahadava Agni Nirvapanam. He says, Cheto Darpanam. Cheta means consciousness. He says, by the chanting of the Hare Krishna, by connection with Krishna, that consciousness becomes gradually cleansed. So now I have a lens which is yellow in color, so I see the world as yellow. But once that particular glass is cleansed, so my vision becomes clear. Something like that. When the consciousness becomes cleansed, so this original soul, whatever is the original nature of the soul, that shines through our consciousness. So then that's how we become a different personality. So that is the transformative potency of bhakti itself. So that's what Krishna is guaranteeing, that like after a while, it is not in our control to actually not be attracted to Krishna. Once we start investing regularly in chanting Hare Krishna, then naturally our heart will be attracted to Krishna, because that is the nature of the soul. So that's why that is the guarantee, because the nature of the soul, it is pure actually. We are not becoming somebody different. We are actually becoming our original person. Make sense?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you.
Okay, thank you. So, and also there is a very nice pastime in the Srimad Bhagavatam where this particular thing, why Arjuna is, Krishna is asking Arjuna to declare it. Why he is not personally declaring it? That, oh son of Kunti, oh Arjuna, declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. So here in the war of Mahabharata, that one day actually Bhishma, there is an interaction that Krishna has with Bhishma. That is the reason, because Arjuna comes and asks Krishna, I'm sorry, the whole fight is happening, and then Duryodhana is very disturbed. Duryodhana says, Bhishma, you are being very, very partial to your favorite grandchildren, the Pandavas. That's why you're not killing them. You're so powerful, you could actually single-handedly kill all of them. Despite being so powerful and being my commander-in-chief, you are not taking strict, you're not really fighting to your full potential against the Pandavas. So Duryodhana kind of keeps poking Bhishma Dev. So Bhishma Dev becomes very angry. Okay, if you say so, then tomorrow I am going to finish all of them. And then he says, I have these 5 special arrows, and at least one of them will be killed tomorrow. If not anybody else, at least I'll kill Arjuna tomorrow. So these are the 5 arrows I'll use against Arjuna. So Duryodhana says, okay, if these are such special arrows, give it to me. I'll keep it with me tonight. So he does not actually trust Bhishma. So he takes it with and keeps it with him. And Arjuna, Krishna, being the Supreme Lord as Paramatma in everyone's heart, understands this particular interaction that happened between Duryodhana and Bhishma Dev. So we all have CCTV today. So wherever we go, there is CCTV. Whatever happens, like everything is like kind of watched. Somebody is like kind of recording it. But imagine Krishna as the CCTV in all of our hearts. Whatever we are thinking, whatever we are speaking. Sometimes in the CCTV, you cannot really hear what people are speaking. You only see images. You don't have speakers in most of these CCTV cameras. But here, Krishna is in our hearts. He is our CCTV. You don't even have to speak. Your thoughts also he knows. So Duryodhana actually made a blunder by not choosing Krishna on his side. Like such a the Supreme Lord himself. So he clearly understood what's going on. So then he tells Arjuna, Arjuna, do you remember that Duryodhana actually owes you actually a boon? Because there was a time in the Mahabharata that Arjuna saved Duryodhana from certain enemies, a Gandharva. So that is the reason that day Duryodhana became very emotional and said, Arjuna, ask me any boon that I'll give you. So Arjuna does not ask immediately. He says, when the right time comes, I'll ask. So Krishna, he had forgotten about it. So Krishna goes and reminds Arjuna, Arjuna, do you remember? Duryodhana owes you a boon. So today is the right time to go and ask him. He says, why in the middle of the battle? What kind of a boon should I ask him? He says, don't worry, just go to him and ask him, you have 5 arrows. Please give me them as a charity to me. Arjuna is like, what's the big deal? He says, no, don't worry. They are special arrows. Just go to Duryodhana and get those 5 arrows. That's all. So in the middle of after the battle, Duryodhana's camp is different. It's the opposition camp. Arjuna goes to Duryodhana's camp and then asks him, and then he gets invited, even though they are enemies off the battlefield. He gets invited. He gets hosted properly as a guest. And then Duryodhana asks him, what can I do to you? Do you want me to stop the war? are you really afraid like you won't be able to win? Like if you want me to stop the war, just ask me, I'll be able to do that. I can call off the whole Kurukshetra war. Arjuna says, no, I just came here to ask you this boon, that you have these 5 arrows, so can I have them? And you can imagine like the guy who just wanted to stop the war completely goes pale. He's like, how in the world, like he knows that I have these 5 arrows under my custody? So then what can he do? Because at least even those personalities like Duryodhana and Ravan, all of them had this level of morality. Demons were much better than normal people today. The morality level was so high. They didn't say, means which boon, when did I tell you? I don't remember that boon. I don't think I gave you. No, he didn't say that. Today, if this happens, we'll be like, which boon? I don't remember offering you a boon or anything like that. So he actually brings the arrows and gives it to Arjuna. And the next morning, when Bhishma Dev comes and then asks, okay, Duryodhana, it's time for the battle to begin. So give me those 5 arrows. He says, I'm very sorry. Arjuna came and took those 5 arrows. Like, at least I had it. And you said you will keep it safely, and now that's with Arjuna. So our Krishna, Bhishma, they become so angry. What does this Krishna think? He is such a cheat. What does he think that I cannot win over Arjuna without those 5 arrows? Okay, he says, today either Krishna will pick up a weapon, break his vow, or I will kill Arjuna, because there is something called as Virya Rasa happening here. That Bhishma and Krishna have something called as a valor kind of a relationship, like a buddies who really want to fight with each other. They are friends, but they really want to put up a strong fight. So here Bhishma's role is to give that kind of a fight to Krishna. So Bhishma understands that you are trying to one up Krishna, that you're trying to break my vow, that because I took a vow, today I'll kill Arjuna. If you want to break my vow, I'll make you break your vow of not picking up a weapon in the battle of Kurukshetra. So he goes and he fights so fiercely that Krishna could realize that Arjuna will be dead today. So when almost Arjuna was losing the battle, and Bhishma was very close to killing Arjuna, that's when Krishna becomes so angry. Why the hell, like, you are like trying to kill Arjuna? So he actually gets down from the from the chariot, and then runs towards Bhishma. And on the go, his uttari falls away, and he picks up a wheel which is lying there in the battlefield, and rushing towards Bhishma to kill Bhishma. He says, how dare you are trying to kill Arjuna? I'll kill you today. And Arjuna is holding the feet of Krishna, saying, Krishna, no, you're not supposed to pick up a weapon. For my sake, don't break your vow. So here you see what is the love between 3 devotees. Here, Krishna is trying to protect Arjuna, and for that, he has taken a vow that he is ready to break his own vow of not picking up a weapon. On the other side, Bhishma is trying to kill Arjuna, but is so happily just watching that this love that Krishna has for Arjuna, that he is willing to break his own vow. And because now Krishna took a weapon, Bhishma's vow was satisfied, because Bhishma said, either I'll kill Arjuna or you have to pick up your weapon. So now, just to save the life of Arjuna, Krishna broke his own vow, broke his own promise, and took up a wheel as a weapon. So that is why people may not believe in Krishna. Okay, Krishna, he does not keep his vows. If Krishna says, I declare boldly, my devotee will never perish, people will be, oh my God, this is the 101st promise. So who knows which one you will keep up? Like, you haven't kept your 100 promises. You said you will come back to Vrindavan, you didn't go. You said, oh, I'm not a thief, but you just kept stealing butter. So from childhood, you never kept your promises. You are very cheeky. You're you cannot be trusted. So he does not have a great profile as a trustworthy person in that sense, that he is very truthful. That's why he says, Arjuna, you are considered a truthful person. So you declare it boldly that my devotee will never perish. And because you are my devotee, I will keep up that promise, because I kept up Bhishma's promise and did not care about my own promise. I broke my promise to keep up Bhishma's promise and to save your life. So similarly, if if a person with determination engages in devotional service and always takes shelter of Krishna, even if a situation comes that where we do something horrible, like anyone in this world is capable of doing anything. If we put ourselves in the right modes or combination of three modes, rajas and tamas, anybody is capable of doing anything. There is no surprise that, oh, this person did this, how can he? No, or how can she? No, anyone is capable of doing anything in this world. Just that the right combination of modes, circumstances, and propensities are there. It just like is not a surprise. So even if we end up doing something stupid, we don't need to just keep crying about it. Oh, I did this, so I'm a bad person, I'm not qualified for devotion, and I'm such a bad person, so I should not be associating with devotees, so I should not be engaging in bhakti because I'm so bad. So no, a patient never thinks, oh, I'm so unhealthy, I'll never meet a doctor, I don't want to meet a doctor, I don't want to go to the hospital because I'm so infectious, I'm so unhealthy. No, the person who is unhealthy, the person who is infectious, the person who is diseased is the actual person who should be going to the hospital, taking a treatment, seeing a physician. So in that sense, that nothing can actually stop Krishna from loving us. On the other hand, if I take these verses as an excuse to do something abominable willingly, thinking bhakti will come to my protection, that is like abusing Krishna's goodwill. That does not hold here. I cannot have this attitude because I'm saintly because I'm committed to the bhakti. I consider I'm so fallen. I want to make myself better. This mistake has happened. I sincerely repent. I don't want to do this again. That should be the attitude of the person who's committing a mistake. The person who's in authority position, he cannot say, oh, okay, that mistake happened, but he's a devotee, so we will not take any action. So that cannot be the situation. If you're an authority, you cannot let an abuse happen. You're supposed to stop the abuser, you're supposed to protect the victim, you're supposed to make systems and make sure that this person will not continue to do. So you have to take responsibility of the reformation of the situation and the people involved. And if we are the general community who are observing somebody did something wrong, we don't need to create a gossip machine. Oh, did you hear what this person did? Did you hear that person did? We become like social media warriors, and we could just go create more and more confusion. No, we can think, okay, here is a devotee. That is why authorities need to be uh, very strong, and authorities need to act at the right time in the right way to give faith to the general populace or the general community that, okay, here is an authority who's trustworthy, who's handling the situation, and I'll be like my heart goes out to everyone involved. So we don't need to, okay, somebody does a like say for example someone did some kind of an abuse, we don't need to actively go around supporting that person. At the same time, we don't need to hate that person. We can keep our distance. We can say, if there is something you could do to help the victim feel better, support them, and at least not spread gossip. So there are in a situation, each person has a different kind of a perspective that they need to have. If you are the person who is committing the crime, you need to be repenting and not repeating. If you are the one who's victimized personally, then you need to think everything is Krishna's mercy. I don't want to hate this person, but I don't need to let abuse continue. There is nothing spiritual about it. So I will stand up and stop this, but I'll not hate anybody. I'll soften my heart, receive this as a Krishna's mercy, and see how I can move forward and take the necessary help. If somebody is an authority, immediately take action to actually stop the abuse and correct the person who's making that mistake, and protect the victim, support them, and make sure the community is also communicated properly. So in this way, each individual who's involved in the situation has different responsibilities and perspective. And what does Krishna think? As long as any of these, whichever individual here in this particular situation is continuing in their devotional determination, Krishna considers them saintly in a in a in a broader perspective. Maybe immediately they did a mistake, we don't need to just like but from Krishna's perspective, whoever is committed in their determination to continue to have a loving relationship with him, they're his devotee, they're saintly, because they will become saintly very quickly if they repent properly. And that's why he's declaring, asking Arjuna to declare it boldly that he is my devotee, my devotee will never perish. So I know I spoke a lot. Is there any reflection, anything that you want to add? Okay, please feel free to raise your hands if you want to add anything. I hope I'm covering all your questions. And as Ritesh Prabhu suggested, like, yeah, Ajamal is a good example, because Ajamal is somebody who was born in a very Brahmana family, and then he gave up everything, and then he gave up his own wife and children, got married to a prostitute, and engaged in robbery and killing people and all kinds of unsocial behavior in order to support himself and his family. And at a very older age, he got a small son, and he named him Narayan because he had that much culture. And when he was almost dying and the Yamadutas were coming, he chanted the name of Narayan, his son. He was calling out his son. But because he chanted Narayan, he gets a chance, a second chance to live. And he gets to see the Vishnudutas and the Yamadutas, and he hears their conversation. So he becomes completely convinced, my God, what the hell I was doing all my life? I should be chanting God's name. So he gives up everything, goes to Hrishikesh, Haridwar, and for the rest of his life, he just chants Krishna's names very sincerely, and then goes back to God afterwards. So he got a second chance. So yes, he did certain things. So now if you see from a social justice perspective, what happened to all those people he robbed and he killed and he engaged, like he kind of committed crimes against? There's some kind of a karmic equation happening, but we are not saying Krishna consciousness is like that perfect antiseptic or that disinfectant. Sometimes you take like a disinfectant, what we call wipes, disinfecting wipes, and then you wipe everything. Oh, okay, now everything is clean. Oh no, we are not supposed to say, okay, today I will enjoy life like Ajamal and then I'll do bhakti later. That's not our attitude, because Ajamal did not think like that. And I remember, like, once there was a lecture, and we were asking, who's your favorite Mahajan? Like, there are 12 great personalities in the Bhagavatam given. So we were supposed to, there was a whole course on the Mahajans, 12 Mahajans. And then the question answer was happening, who's your favorite, like that. And one college boy said, Ajamal is my Mahajan. He said, why? Like, he said, okay, he enjoyed his life in the beginning, or however he wanted, and at the end he got bhakti and he got perfection. So it's like many times people think like that. Like, I have been, like, when I came to bhakti, I used to look at, like, people who are older to me, especially who are like 50s and 60s, and I think, oh my God, like, in my 20s I used to think, oh, these people don't have to follow anything, they have just like enjoyed life, and then now they've discovered bhakti and they have got everything covered. And I'm like in my early 20s or like in my teens, I'm like, I think I didn't think like that when I was very new in bhakti. I think maybe in my late 20s I thought, oh my God, I missed a lot of things in life. That's the attitude that comes if you had come very early to bhakti. But the idea is, like, material enjoyment has its limitation. So and even if all of those desires are there, when we continue to practice bhakti, gradually we get better. And that's why that in the never lose heart on the path of the heart. So there's nothing that can stop us from becoming a devotee, from going close to Krishna, being in the association. We could show up how we are in an association and take the association, what the association needs can offer us devotionally. So we don't need to become too vulnerable. If we don't know if people, how they will treat us, if we are not sure, you can express yourself in a trusting kind of an association, in a closer kind of a confidential way. You can reveal your heart and take help. But in general, you don't need to judge the association also. Oh, nobody cares for me, nobody these are not great people, they are this, like that. No, we are not like, it's not that the devotional association has to be perfect for us to associate. We are all like a group of patients. we all have our own infections. So when we come together, sometimes we will pass our infections to each other. A little envy here, a little anger here, a little pride there. Like it's very possible, because we all have some kind of infections. So it's very natural when we come together, there can be some sparks that come out that need not disturb us too much, and just go on. The determination to be a devotee and to be in the association of the devotees is very important, because that's the very thing that will make us better, and the association also better. When we become better people, I have seen, like, as I grow in my consciousness, I see my ability to associate with other people has also improved. My association, my relationship with many other people actually improved. Initially, I thought they are not. Oh, what kind of people are they? Like, sometimes I would have like difference of opinion, or different ways and of doing things. So I would hate people because they differ from me. Now I can at least, on a level of, I can tolerate. I know I know it is not, like, I can say, being very honest, I can tolerate. I may not like really love them. In my heart, I can tell myself, okay, you don't need to hate them. They're okay. It's fine. You're also not perfect. So I can kind of speak to me, and then keep myself like, and then be nice to them, at least on face. Like, try to be nice, and tell myself, make it into a prayer. Krishna, I really cannot put up with this person, but I know it's not their problem, it's my problem, so make it better. So, like, if I look at something and I become envious, I'm like, Krishna, I know I'm becoming very envious. I don't think it is necessary. It's helpful for my devotion service. I don't want this. Please remove it from my heart. So it could be a prayer. When you chant, that could be a prayer, that, oh, I see all these things in my heart, so I don't want this. That's not very helpful. So please remove this. So we don't need to never lose our heart on this path of bhakti. We don't need to think, oh, I'm so weak spiritually, I'm like, kind of, I cannot control my senses or mind. No, it's fine. Bring it to Krishna and try your best. Mother Indra?
Oh, no, I was going to totally agree with you on that. A lot of times I think that when I think about it, I realize I'm very similar to them, and that those parts of me that I struggle with and I don't care for is what I'm disliking in this person. And so, yeah, and a lot of the whole struggle, I mean, the whole time chanting is, asking Krishna to please control my envy, my tongue, like, help me with these issues that I have, because, yeah, a lot of times it's really internal, that my struggle is really with me more than the other person outside of me. So, yeah. Thank you for saying that. And thank you for saying about the whole gambling, where we say, oh, we're going to, well, I'll just be, really good today, because tomorrow, it's my birthday. I'm gonna like go and get a vegan donut and, run around and enjoy, those kinds of things. It's like, it's a constant like practice every day to kind of try to pull back the crazy desires for things that aren't necessary.
That's true.
Because, yeah,
we have so many projects in life. I want to do this, I want to achieve this, and so many things. But we are the most important project. Like, just becoming a better person is our most important project, and really that improves the quality of life, actually. Because I have seen, I work hard to get something, and then I get it, and I'm not happy. The excitement is in achieving something, and then the achievement is like something. When I sleep, I don't even remember what I achieved, who I am, nothing. When I'm sleeping, I'm like just a dead piece of meat, actually, just like lying there, like it doesn't matter, actually. But the ego is so puffs us up, like, in the waking consciousness goes in achieving so many other things as projects. But actually, becoming a better person is which carries our consciousness, always. That is who we are, actually. And I'm telling myself. So thank you, Mother Indra, for reflecting. And this is another quote. I took it from Chaitanya Sharan Prabhu. That I found this is very nice. That we may fall down, we may have hiccups, but we don't have to fall away from the practice of bhakti, because it's a constant struggle. Many people feel, oh, I'm not so perfect and this is so demanding, I can't do it. So we may not be perfect, but we don't need to actually stop just because we are not perfect, because this is a path for perfection, not for those who are perfected. And I'm sorry. So the lessons that we could get from this particular section. So what about the 34th verse? I'm sorry, I don't know what's happening. Yeah, I kept clicking, I realized all of this. Sorry, guys. Yeah. So the next thing is like, why is spiritual danger to be more feared than physical danger? Because another question that comes when Krishna says, "O Arjuna, boldly declare my devotee will never perish." Many people think that's about physical protection. Because yeah, we also pray to Krishna for spiritual protection when we are living. So self-preservation is not considered against. However, the spiritual body will not be protected forever. So then what is that protection that Krishna is declaring in that verse? What will he protect? Because matter by nature will deteriorate and perish. This body, however much we become great devotees, one day that this body has to separate from us. So that is why what Krishna is saying is that the spiritual danger is much more feared to be than physical danger, because the physical body will go today or tomorrow. It's not that Krishna will not protect the physical body, but what he essentially says that boldly declare my devotee will never perish. So who is the devotee? Is the body devotee of Krishna or the soul devotee of Krishna? So in that sense, that consciousness, that devotional consciousness we have, that's what Krishna is saying, that will never perish. I remember in one particular Vyas Puja, Niranjan Maharaj had given this offering, that there was this disciple of Srila Prabhupada who joined in Boston ISKCON, and she was like the oldest person in the temple at that point of time. She was in her late 30s. Everyone in the temple was like late teens or early 20s. So she was considered the eldest person in the whole temple, and she was very matured because she was also elder. She was a working professional. She left all that, and then she was in the temple. She was very organized and very sober. There are, the early teens, late teens and the early 20s, they're all like jumping around and doing so many things. It's all too excited, but she's like kind of calm and composed. So Niranjan Maharaj was very inspired by her demeanor. So then after many years, he became a sannyasi and he traveled to Ukraine and all that. So then he realized, oh, where is this lady that I used to be so inspired from her? So I don't, where is he? Because he was visiting Boston back and he remembered suddenly. And he asked everybody in the community of Boston. None of them seemed to know that where this devotee actually, like, no whereabouts of her was known. So he kept looking, and then he eventually came and figured out that she is in a what do you call, healthcare home or home care, like where like people kind of more like a hospice, but not hospice, like more like a health facility that she was living. So he did go there, and none of them knew what was her like legal name. They all called her by a certain initiated name, so they didn't know her legal name. So when Maharaj asked for that initiated name, they said, no, we don't have anybody like this here. So then he tried looking through the register, but it was so many people that they couldn't really clearly find out who's that. And seeing all his spiritual attire, this nurse told that we do have one person who does not remember anything about their past, but always chants this Hare Krishna mantra. So then he said, okay, let me see. And they took Maharaj to her, and it was exactly the devotee. And she could not recognize Maharaj at all. And he kept asking her, how are you, this, that. She wasn't responding. She was looking somewhere and not recognizing him. And the moment he realized this person has forgotten everything due to dementia. So there is no point in having a conversation. So he thought, Let me sit next to her and chant some Hare Krishna, some japa, and then I'll leave. So the moment he sat there, put his beads, put his hands into the beads and started chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So she immediately changed. She sat straight, looking Maharaj, and started chanting with him. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. So the only thing that she remembered from her whole past was that mantra. Nothing actually interested her. She couldn't pay attention to anyone who was speaking to her if they were speaking something, because it didn't make sense to her. And the moment he started chanting, she completely gave him all attention and started chanting Hare Krishna with him. So Maharaj is saying how Krishna never actually forsakes his devotee. So the consciousness, the waking consciousness of what do we do and what do we do in this life and all our experiences is stored on a certain level. But the devotional impressions is the very own part of the consciousness. So those impressions go very deep. And Srila Prabhupada also writes in the 8th chapter Bhagavad Gita, in that verse about Mam Anusmara, in the verse where he says, whatever you think when you die, that's what you become. He says, even if a devotee becomes in a comatose state, like a coma state where they become unconscious, he says there is no problem, because the soul is always active. The consciousness can never be removed from the soul. It's just the body has become incapable of transmitting that consciousness to the outside world. The soul has become, the soul's consciousness never goes away. Just the body has become incapable of transmitting the soul's consciousness externally through the senses. So he said the soul will continuously be awake and aware even within that coma state. Then Prabhupada asked the question, but what will the soul think? If it is so attached to the body, it will be very fearful. It will be like not able to think anything spiritual. It will be so confused and fearful. So he says that is why when we practice, when we are living by chanting Hare Krishna and offering prayers and train our mind to think of Krishna, train our mind to offer prayers, then even in that state, Prabhupada says the soul can continue to chant Hare Krishna and think of him and will go back to God. So it's does not matter if a devotee was externally like in a unconscious state. Many times it's a big deal if some devotees passed away in an unconscious state. We think, oh, it is so inauspicious, what happened, like that. No, it depends on whatever the level of that devotee's consciousness, they'll be able to remember Krishna. Krishna is not going to forsake anyone. So that connection is an eternal connection. To the degree we have spiritualized our consciousness, that will not be taken away from us. So that is what Krishna is saying. Declare boldly, Arjuna, that my devotee will never perish. So it's not just about physical danger. Krishna can protect someone's physical body also. Because see, Krishna protected Arjuna from being killed by Bhishma. But he did not protect Abhimanyu, who was killed in the battlefield by the son of Arjuna, the very own son of Arjuna and his own sister. So Abhimanyu was the son of Krishna's sister also. He didn't protect him. So the guarantee is not about physical danger, physical protection. The guarantee is about consciousness. Because the physical body will die today or tomorrow. That does not mean Krishna will never protect someone's physical body. He may, but that depends on the situation and the circumstances. So I surely don't want to go without completing this chapter today, because I've changed my style. I'm speaking a lot more like a lecture, because this is like a big important section. But I'm determined, even if it takes another few minutes, we are going to complete chapter 9 today. I'm sorry for that. And this is another interesting section. Oh, each of these verses have so much to unpack. And here Krishna says, O son of Pritha, those who take shelter in me, though they be of lower birth, women, Vaishyas, and Shudras, can attain the supreme destination. How much more this is so of the righteous Brahmanas, the devotees, and the saintly kings. Therefore, having come to this temporary, miserable world, engage in loving service unto me. This is also a kind of a sensitive verse, because it like different people interpret this verse differently. And there are multiple ways of looking at it. But one thing is, like Prabhupada says, all of them like as lower birth. But there is another way of looking. 4 categories. One is lower birth, women, Vaishyas, and Shudras. why all of these are considered like separate category than brahmanas and kings was because in the past culture, brahmanas had some access which others did not have. The kings had certain access which others did not have. So the emphasis of this verse is, even if the society is discriminating some people based on externals, that does not stop Krishna, because Krishna does not discriminate. The society may be discriminating, but it does not mean Krishna is discriminating or bhakti is discriminating. So basically these verses bring out this essence that bhakti and Krishna, they are not discriminating. Even if there are differences in the society, that does not apply to bhakti. Everyone can actually approach Krishna, everyone can achieve perfection in their spiritual journey. That's what Krishna is saying, can attain the supreme destination. The only thing is they have to take shelter of Krishna. So you think of all the scriptures, the Ramayana, Mahabharata, Bhagavatam, you will see there are so many personalities that as examples, like Shabari, who's considered a tribal woman. She is not just woman, but she is also tribal according to this consideration. But still, Lord Ram personally ate, not just ate, he ate from the same berries that she tasted and gave him. When we all cook, we don't taste before offering Krishna. But here, Shabari actually tasted the berry and gave, because she was having devotion. She took shelter of Lord Ram. There was no discrimination from Lord Ram's side. He took those berries happily and he ate it. Imagine if you go to someone's home and then you're sitting at the table and then they're like, okay, let me check if this raspberry is sour or sweet. Because if you know, in the US, there is no guarantee which berry will be sweet, which berries will be sour actually. The blueberry is all white. The ripened blueberries are not white inside. But here, most of the blueberries we eat, they are all white. They don't have any taste. They're like completely bland. But actually, blueberries are supposed to be sweet and very like more purple in color when you bite into it. But if somebody comes there, spreads all the fruits and says, okay, let me taste and give you, and yeah, this raspberry is good, okay, the remaining raspberry you eat, you'll be like so apart, like how can I, like, what is this, like, how can I eat someone's tasted fruit like that? But Lord Ram took that tasted fruit from Sabri and ate it without any hesitation, as it was the most sweetest offering that what was ever offered to him. And she was immediately blessed to go back to this spiritual world after that interaction. So Krishna or bhakti does not discriminate, even if there are differences in the society. So the emphasis here is not why there is difference in the society, or why is that Krishna is categorizing them like that. Krishna is not categorizing. He is just making an observation of what's happening in the society. It may be right, wrong. What is right, wrong is that part we are not entering into it, because it was a different society. Today is a different society. They had a different system. We have a different system. The cultural sensitivity and the context, and how much we really follow the real systems that Krishna laid out, it's all completely up in the air. It's all total confusion. So not to get derailed and on the social side, the focus of this verse is that Krishna or bhakti does not discriminate. And he says, even if all of these, according to the social platform, even if these people are not considered as great, even they can attain. What to speak of those who are actually calling themselves on the higher rungs of the society, the brahmanas and the saintly kings? They have much more opportunity to practice devotion, to read the Vedas, to read the literatures, to come in touch with saintly people. It's very easy for them. And how much more easy it should be for them to come to devotion. So Arjuna, don't miss this opportunity. You are a saintly king. Anyone can come to become a devotee. So why not you? You don't have any excuse. So take to this devotion. And he's saying, you may think, oh, it's a very comfortable world. No, Arjuna, this saintly, the kingdom you aspire for, or all these things will go away. Having come to this temporary, miserable world, engage in loving service and come to me. So he's calling this world very temporary and miserable. He's painting a very negative picture of the world. So why? It's not that Krishna is having because I sometimes interact with different people. I remember once saying how cruel the world is, and the opposite person said, it all depends on your perspective, how you look at the world. I said, that's true. However, the very nature of matter is very cruel. The very nature of world is very cruel. Can we not acknowledge that? However much positive attitude I have, death and disease is going to come. I can have positive attitude in facing them, but should we not acknowledge that by nature the world is actually a very cruel place? You see, when Arjuna saw the universal form, he was terrified, especially the time form. He was terrified because it was like an X-ray vision. So we all are so concerned about beauty, but even if you take an X-ray of the Miss Universe, it's not going to be pretty. The X-ray vision is not going to be like, oh, this is Miss Universe's X-ray, so it's going to be pretty. No, it's the X-ray vision of the body is always going to be, it's just bones and flesh and blood. The real nature of the world, that's what he's giving an X-ray vision of this material existence, that by nature it is temporary, by nature it is miserable. And that's why Krishna is saying, okay, take advantage of this. Don't just cruise around in this world thinking, oh, I'll somehow make it more pleasurable. No, he's saying by nature this world is miserable. And what is that is why it is very important to take to bhakti. Oh, because some people may think, why do people not appreciate the glories of bhakti yoga? Because they think, it's a very simple process. What's a big deal about it? But they don't understand that this simple process can actually take them out of the material existence. It is so powerful, it will end that bad dream of material existence. And so that's what we discussed, that how Gita's assessment of the nature of the material world is not pessimistic, it is realistic. So it's not that it is pessimistic, but it is the nature of the world, that what Krishna is describing is actually realistic. He is the one who created. He knows better than us. And why is bhakti yoga necessary for all of us? Because whoever may be on the social or the economical, financial, or any kind of corporate category hierarchies, but bhakti yoga is necessary for all of us, because all of us are in this temporary material world. The miseries of material existence, of birth, death, old age, disease is common to all of us. And more than anything, all of us are looking for love. There is not one person in this world who says, no, I don't need love. Everything we do in this world, me trying to give this class, you trying to hear this class, we trying to do everything in this world, is all on a certain level. We are all looking for love. We are all looking for connection. We are all looking for engagement. Everything is basically an expression of love, even when it is absent. Anger is an absence of anger, and a need for anger, a need for love. So in that sense, we are all looking for love, and that's what Krishna is saying. And I am that perfect object of love. So Krishna is establishing himself as the most perfect object of love. And that's why he's saying, engage your mind always in thinking of me. Become my devotee, offer obeisances to me, worship me, being completely absorbed in me, surely you will come to me. So he's giving a guarantee. If you're looking for love, I'm the best object of that love. So engage, make that connection with me. Engage your mind in thinking of me. So in the coming week, you can think, how can I train my mind to think of Krishna? Maybe before we go to the word always thinking of Krishna, we need to start somewhere. Even when we are chanting, sometimes our mind is not there. So take few breaks and see if you can think of Krishna exclusively for 2 minutes. Can I think of Krishna? What will you think of Krishna? Say, for example, I want to think about Swari. Only if I know who he is, then I can think something about whatever interactions we had. Oh, Swarit said this, Swarit does that, Swarit is good in doing this. So I will think of all of those interactions, his qualities, like that. So if you want to think of Krishna, then you need to know Krishna. You need to know, of course, Krishna's name. Krishna's form, Krishna's qualities, Krishna's pastimes. So when we think of those things, we can be absorbed in those things, then gradually it becomes the nature of the mind. So take a few minutes and think, okay, now I'm going to think of Krishna. And then see what comes to your mind. What can you think of Krishna? What do you know? How much do you know? What because so then you need to know more. You need to read Bhagavatam. You need to understand Bhagavatam and other pastimes of Krishna and more details. So then we can think of Krishna. So that is the purpose of human life. So with all our busy life, still we are like, if we want to improve the quality of our life, we have to take some time to train our mind to think of Krishna, so that it can become a devotee of Krishna. So in that way, Krishna is guaranteeing that we will come to him. So that is the whole emphasis of Krishna in the chapter 9. Love me, and I'm always ready to love you. Please love me, and we can be together soon. You can come back to the spiritual world. You don't need to be struggling in the material world. So engage in this devotion, it will become much easier. So if you want to think like, what are the 4 significant glories that we discussed many things, but if you want to think clearly, like kind of make it easier, so these are the 4 significant glories of bhakti yoga, and you can think which one of these inspires you the most. These are the 4 this is the 4 glories of bhakti yoga, for nature of bhakti. It is eternal. It's a permanent investment. It does not go away. It's not like you go to heaven and then come back. No, not like that. Krishna takes care of you. It's an eternal investment. And it is very simple to practice. It could be a simple leaf, water, flower, fruit, but if offered with devotion, we can connect with Krishna. It's transformative. Even today, if we are abominable, if we have so many bad thoughts or habits, we have certain things that we are still struggling with, no, still Krishna is saying, don't worry, you will become a better person. Just with the determination, continue practicing. It is transformative and it is universal. It does not matter who we are, young, old, white, black, Indian, American, whatever, maybe, or in the racial, in the gender, in the sex spectrum, whatever we are, according to the world's bodily distinctions, how like financially successful we are, what kind of career we have. No, it does not matter. Anything that material does not actually apply to the path of bhakti in trying to please Krishna. It is universal. It is available to everyone. So these are the 4 qualities of bhakti, that it is eternal, simple, transformative, and universal. And Krishna is saying, with all these glories, why not take this? Why not try this? So that's why he is eagerly advertising the glories of bhakti. And he is openly favored as, I personally recommend this. You may go to a shopkeeper, he may have many things, and then you may say, what do you think is the best of all the options that you showed? He say, this is the best. And you would trust him actually. Okay, he might be selling all of it. You may say, hey, then why are you selling the other things? He say, okay, different people have different amount of money to offer. They may not be able to actually afford this thing. This is the best quality, but not everybody will be able to afford. So I also have other options. So bhakti is the best, but Krishna does have other options because those people are not able to afford it. But it is very simple. Krishna is saying it does not cost much. Love does not cost much, but it's not very easy. You cannot force it. So that's why Krishna is giving other options also, because he really loves us. He wants to accommodate us. So we may let go of Krishna, but Krishna will never let go of us. It's a problem also, right? Sometimes you really desperately wish that Krishna let you off. But by nature, the soul is connected to Krishna. The sun's rays will never be separated from sun in that sense. Bhakti can offer us eternal ecstatic life with Krishna. So these are the 2 things that Krishna is trying to emphasize in this section. That devotion is not just an emotion we feel. It is an action we do. Yes, it is also an emotion. I feel love for Krishna in my heart, but I also need to show love Krishna through my actions. It's not, one is not an alternative for the other. We don't need to just keep doing and not feel love. And I cannot say I feel so much love, but don't tell me to do anything. Both are important. We feel as well as we show it through actions. So these are some things we could reflect for the next week together. So what is my offering to Krishna? And when will I offer myself to Krishna? There are two different things. I may offer many things to Krishna. I cook this and I offer. I have this money, I offer. I have this house, I offer. I offer many things to Krishna. But what Krishna is asking is not just give you my offering, give you your offerings, give yourself also. So these are two things. What are the things that we offer to Krishna, and how much are we trying to offer ourselves to Krishna? Because in bhakti, we are not just making offerings. We ourselves are the offering on a certain level. We are offering ourselves to Krishna. So that is love. In love is not about just giving things. It's about giving oneself to the other person in the heart. So thank you. I know I spoke a lot. Krishna is going to test me in the coming week. So Krishna, devotion is Krishna's appetizer. So if you really want to make Krishna hungry, so that devotion makes Krishna hungry. So it is the best appetizer. So let's see what kind of hunger we have in the coming week for devotion. So thank you very much for helping me loudly think with all of you. And these are the 4 sections. Don't read the descriptions. I haven't updated it. The first 3 verses, Krishna spoke about the spiritual knowledge that he was speaking in this chapter. He advertised for whatever content that he was about to speak. Between 4 and 10, before saying that this is about love and bhakti and all that, if we don't know how great is Krishna, then we won't value when he offers himself. If you don't know how great is Krishna, then when Krishna says, you can love me, you're like, oh, I have already someone in my mind. I don't think I need another person. But when we understand here is that Supreme Lord, so then we will be able to actually give attention to the message that he is saying. That's why he mind-blowingly he explains who he is. Basically, he is inconceivable. And then he says there are various ways that people come to him. They're all okay, but the best is bhakti. And then he explains why bhakti is the best in the last section. That it is eternal, it is simple, it is transformative, and it is universal. And he is waiting for us. So thank you very much. And I really appreciate and grateful for all of you for giving your time. I know I kept going on and on. I wanted it to be interactive, but I struggled to making it interactive sometimes because I have so much to say sometimes. And feel free, any questions that you always have, you can always ask. So, but next week. Today I have to rush soon.
Excellent gems, Prabhu. Thank you very much. Especially that point where you said about, Krishna not trusting himself, but actually told Arjun to make the promise.
True.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. So you all can vouch for me because Krishna will not believe me. So with your blessings, the next week can be more devotional. So thank you, Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mother Indra and Greg Prabhus. And thank you, Sundaranand Prabhu. Thank you, Swarit. Thank you, Purva. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Gokul. Thank you, Mother Ishwari, Amrit Kishori. Hare Krishna. See you soon.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Gokul.
Krishna,
Hope you're doing well.
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Ritesh Prabhu. Hare Krishna. See you soon.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Harshil. Hare Krishna. Hare Bhava.